Hello, everyone. It's been a while. We're done with chapter 3. Chapter 3, we've dealt with economic study methods. Okay, and we're going to use these methods in this chapter. Chapter 4 deals with decisions under certainty, and the first lesson or topic would be evaluation of mutually exclusive alternatives. So, we're going to discuss in this video, we're going to discuss evaluation of mutually exclusive alternatives. And or projects actually. So these two terms or two words are used interchangeably. So we can use alternatives or projects, but in engineering we normally use the term projects. Okay, and these alternatives or projects are mutually exclusive, meaning that we have several options, we have several alternatives or projects, and we're going to choose one only. So one project that would satisfy the goal, okay, or the objective of the company, okay. So, and we're going to use the methods we have discussed before in chapter 3 with a few modifications, okay. So we're going to deal with these topics. The first bullet actually is one of the alternatives, no? So we have several alternatives to choose from. We're going to compare those alternatives, and one of the options would be to do nothing. Okay. So one of the decision option is to do nothing. So kailan ba natin gonna when do we select this kind of option to do nothing? So if sometimes when we propose for a new project or for to propose a new alternative, a new system, okay. So because we want to eliminate, or we want to have a new system, we want to have a new uh, machine, for example, okay. So if this new system wouldn't satisfy economically yung objective ng company, then the best option is to do nothing, okay. So kapag mas maraming lugi, or lugi ka sa mga proposals compared to what is what you have now, then that means the best thing to do is to do nothing. Okay? So, mas magandang i-maintain na lang yung kung anong meron. Okay? Ang company now. And we're going to deal also with service projects and then revenue projects. So, anong pinagkaibahan ng service projects and revenue projects? So, service projects, although I have a given detailed example or definition in your module. So basically, service projects are projects that analyzed using yung cost. Okay, cost. That means that, for example, we have two machines, machine A and machine B. The company have set a number, a specific number of or quantity of product that would be produced in a year. For example, we need to produce 1 million units a year, and project A and project B can satisfy that particular condition. Now, um, magkakatalo na lang, okay, if you now compare A and B, okay, if you assess which project would be more viable economically, then we are going to, since fix yung output, yung number of units, ang magkakaiba would be the cost of operating and maintaining A and B. So whichever project, kung ano mang project ang mas matipid or mas maliit yung cost, yung operations and maintenance cost, then that would be the project that would be chosen or selected. Okay? So service projects are actually cost project or analyzed using the cost. No? Okay, so kung ano man yung project that would give us the least amount of cost, then that would be the project that would be chosen. Next would be revenue projects. The term revenue projects hindi fix yung quantity. Okay, so whichever project that produces the highest revenue or profit, profit na lang. Okay, kung ano mang project ang nagpo-produce ng pinakamataas na profit or revenue, that would be the one selected or chosen. Okay, so syempre mas maraming revenue, mas maganda, no? That would be more viable for the company. Okay, so those are that would be the difference between the two types of projects. So we're going to discuss first service projects and the different methods. Although the methods actually are the same, for service projects and revenue projects, the methods are basically the same. Ang pinagkaiba lang, of course, for service projects, we're dealing with cost. So when we're dealing with cost, we're going to choose the project with the least amount of cost. For revenue projects, we're going to choose the project that would give us the highest profit or revenue. Okay, so let's deal with service projects. Number one method, okay, is the modification of the rate of return method. That is rate of return on additional investment method. So this method will be, we need the following: the annual net savings and additional investment. So paano ba to? So for a certain project, okay, for a certain goal of the company. So we have for example, we have two projects that proposals to achieve that goal or objective. So we're let's say for example, project A and project B. Okay. So usually one of them, okay, one of them would be more expensive in terms of the initial cost, and one would be less costly or less expensive in terms of the initial cost. And usually naman yung mga mas mahal initially uh, would have an operations and maintenance cost na mas mababa, okay, and less expensive. Kapag on the other hand, the other project, let's say for example, project A, mas mura initially, pero in terms of operations and maintenance cost, mas mataas siya compared sa project B. So, so initially, meron kang difference in terms of the initial cost. Meron ding, of course, difference in terms of the operations and maintenance cost annually. So, kukunin lang natin yung differences between the two, yung annual maintenance and operations cost and the initial investment, and then we're going to take the ratio. So, if it satisfies the MARR set by the company, then the other project or alternative would be chosen. Okay? So that's how we're going to have an example of this later on. Pag hindi nyo masyadong naintindihan. And next would be the annual cost method or the AC method. So we're going to compute the annual cost of each project, whichever give us the least amount of cost, then that project would be chosen or selected. Next is the equivalent uniform annual cost or the EUAC method. That means under this method, we're going to compute the equivalent uniform annual cost, the annuity. No? So usually meron tayong initial cost and then the annual maintenance and operations cost. Okay, or operations and maintenance cost. So yung gagawin lang natin, convert lang natin yung initial cost into an annuity, i-add natin sa annual maintenance and operations cost, then that would be the equivalent uniform annual cost. So since it's a cost, so whichever give us the least amount of EUAC, then that would be the project or alternative that would be selected. Okay? So yan. Next method is the present worth of all cost method. So, or the PWC method, the present worth of all cost. So, parang sa EUAC din, equivalent uniform annual cost. Pero dito kasi, yung annual operations and maintenance cost would be converted to an equivalent value in terms of the present cost. And then, kung alin alternative or or project ang mas mababa in terms of the present cost or present worth, okay, of all cost, that would be the project to be chosen or selected. No? Okay. So next would be the capitalized cost method or capitalized method. We have discussed this before in chapter 2, how to compute for the capitalized cost. So we're going to compare the capitalized cost of each project. So whichever, kung alin man ang project that would give us, whichever project that would give us the least amount of capitalized cost, then that would be selected or chosen. And the least used method is least used method or seldomly used method is the payback or payout period. So sa payback and or payout period, we're going to compute for the number of years. Okay, usually years naman, no? Number of years na mababawi natin yung investment. Okay, so kung alin man yung pinakamabilis na method, no? So for example, we have alternative A and B. Ang payback period ng alternative A is 5 years. Ang payback period ng alternative B is 7 years. Then definitely we're going to choose alternative A. So mas mabilis yung mababawi yung investment natin, initial investment natin. Okay, when you're analyzing naman or evaluating alternatives or projects, hindi naman required na gamitin mo lahat ng method. No? You're not required to use all the methods. You can choose any method that you want, any applicable method that you want, and then or maybe one or two or three methods just to confirm. Okay, and so the most commonly used ones methods most commonly used methods are the present worth of all cost and then the equivalent uniform annual cost method. Okay, these are the two methods na usually ginagamit to analyze or evaluate alternatives. So these are the different methods for this particular project for service projects. Although the same would be used later on sa revenues naman, revenue projects natin. Okay? So that's a brief introduction. We will proceed with the problem solving in another video.